Hey there, Rednecks, Preppies, Redneck Preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How are you doing today? Great? Good. If there's anything I've learned in any pastime I've been involved in, you can always go deeper down a rabbit hole. And when it comes to firearm maintenance cleaning, that may be buying an endoscope. Yoink. With that in mind, today I'm going to be looking at the Depstech DS300 Endoscope, billed as a professional industrial endoscope. I'm not entirely sure what qualifications you need to meet to rate that kind of name, but whatever. Anyway, outside of the box, we got ourselves a picture of the unit itself. Always helpful, I suppose. Some specifications. We'll get into that a little bit later. The traditional kind of weird motto that the Chinese companies put for their products. In this case, it's all for your joy. I don't know about you, but a probe doesn't make me think of joy, but I'm traditional. It is what it is. On the back of the box, we got ourselves the note that it's a single lens model. It's black in color, manufactured by the fine folks at Shenzhen Deep Sea Innovation Technology Company Limited. It's quite a mouthful there. It is helpful, a tool, new, and brace yourselves, it's made in China. Now that we know what the outside of the box looks like, let's get into the box. Okay, we are once again on the top of the box, which aids in the openification of it. Let's see what you get inside here. Okay, we're immediately greeted by a quick reference guide, which is useful, and it's remarkably Chinglish free. So good on them, whoever translated that. Greeted by the unit itself, wrapped for your protection. Pretty much looks exactly what it does on the outside of the box with its integral endoscope camera. We've got the USB charging cable, and of course it's micro USB. In this day and age, to be using micro USB when the perfectly good USB Type-C exists is criminal. I'm angered. We got ourselves a little flask here. What do we got here? Okay, so it's the end attachments you can get. You've got a magnetic end here, obviously, because it's sticking to this. Some protective caps, a little hook, which probably would never actually be useful. You got yourself the side camera piece. Okay. All standard when it comes to these kind of industrial grade endoscopes. And we've got ourselves the manual. And where the quick reference guide achieved the notable with no Chinglish, unfortunately not so much this one. The child can only operate this device with the guidance of adults. Please do not let them operate this device alone, because you never know where kids are going to be end up putting that endoscope. At any rate, it comes in several languages. You got English, German, Italian, and French. So that's useful. Now that we know what's inside the box, let's go over the main unit itself. Okay, quick look at the unit itself. It purports to have a 1.96 to 3.93 inch focal length, or 5 to 10 centimeters. The camera resolution is 1920 by 1080p, or so they say. We'll check that out. The diameter of the camera is 5.5 millimeters, and I did measure it with a micrometer. It is in fact 5.5 millimeters, so they didn't lie, or 0.21 inches. This camera is IP67 rated waterproof. The length of the cable itself, and this is a stiff cable, is 16.5 feet or 5 meters. The camera, and I don't know if you can see it here, is ringed by 6 LEDs that do have an adjustable brightness function. The screen type itself is a 4.3 inch color TFT LCD. So, I mean, not like your high-end screen, but it's serviceable. It comes, notably, with a 32 gigabyte micro SD card. Usually they slap the smallest card that you can possibly manage in this, but it's actually 32 gigabytes, which is probably more than enough for you. And it's also rechargeable through this port right here. The battery, which is this chunky boy in the back here, purports to last 4 hours from a full charge. The DS300 is capable of taking both videos and pictures, all of which can be saved on that inserted micro SD card. All right, now the Redneck Preppy's quick guide to actually operating this unit. There isn't a hell of a lot to it. You've got yourself a power button here. If you long press for about 2 seconds, it boots up, and it's not a very long boot time. Boom, we're already into it. How about them apples? You've got 2 buttons here which control the brightness up and down. They also serve the dual function of allowing you to navigate through the menu screens. You've got the round button here, which is OK, which allows you to then confirm any menu options that you select. It also serves the dual purpose of pausing any live video that you are recording. In the corner here, we have ourselves a button which allows you to flip the image 180 degrees if you are so inclined. And the menu button, well, it actually takes you into the menu. How about them apples? Finally, what may be the most important button of all is the camera/record function. And pressing it once will take a picture of whatever it is that the camera is aimed at. Long holding it for 2 seconds will start recording video. That's it. Pretty easy. It's an endoscope. Well, if the backbone of the internet wasn't built with videos of guys sticking long things into other things, I don't know what it was. So with that in mind, we are going to use this endoscope on this rifle. Now, I was looking for a really dirty, ill-maintained rifle in my collection. Turns out I'm actually pretty up-to-date on all my firearms maintenance, so this bore is actually relatively clean. So I'm not entirely sure how exciting this is going to be for you, but at the end of the day, we're here to review an endoscope, not how well I clean my firearms. At any rate, pitter-patter, let's get at her. Let's get this in here. All right, we are in the bore. Now, I don't know how well this is going to come across on camera. I am going to overlay some video so that you can see what the camera is actually capturing. But now that image isn't all that impressive, to be honest with you. It almost seems like the image closest to the camera is blown out by the light, and it's not focusing very well. Whereas if you go a little further away, you know, towards the middle of the image, which would represent its focal distance, then it kind of looks clearer. But that doesn't really help you because the image is so far away and so small. So yeah, not all that impressive. All right, so next up, we're going to try it with the side view attachment, and we're going to see what kind of images we can get on the side of the bore. Okay, we have our side view attachment on. I'm going to have to say that this cord being rigid, it's as much of a pain in the ass as it is a help, because although it helps, you know, actually get the endoscope into these tight places that you're likely to be using it in, it also has a habit of twisting around on you and kind of getting jammed up and all that. It's kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. At any rate, enough talk. Let's get this in here. Oh wow, I'm already even less than impressed than I was before. Again, I don't know exactly what, I'm not going to bother showing you the screen of the endoscope itself because I don't think you'll really get much out of it, but overlaid on this is the video footage that I'm capturing through the endoscope. And it's, I mean, you can see the lands and the grooves, but it's kind of out of focus. It's not particularly clear, so I'm not entirely sure what you would get out of this, to be honest with you. Yeah, I have to say I'm a little disappointed. Although I have to say at least my rifle looks clean, so there is that small consolation. Yeah, so as for the quality of the footage that you're capturing, I'm not getting blown away by this, to be honest with you. Okay, so I'm back in front of the camera and it's time for my thoughts on the Depstech DS300 Endoscope. I didn't mention it earlier, but this retails for about 50 to 60 US or 70, 80 Canadian on those countries' respective Amazon sites. It seems to be on sale often, or there's a coupon available, so the price does move up and down. With that in mind, let's begin with the pros and cons. First, the cons of this unit. This part's going to be a long one. To start, for a unit that bills itself as industrial, it's not. The handheld part feels at once like it's not particularly substantial, but okayishly built. I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing. You know when you have like a quality electronics item, it's got a little bit of a heft to it. This doesn't have that. But it's not badly built either. It's like this weird in-between. It's not waterproof though, which means if you use it for its other possible and arguably intended purposes, plumbing issues, root around your car's engine, whatever it may be, you need to be careful not to actually get this thing wet. Depstech will also tell you that this 4.3-inch LCD TFT screen is capable of displaying full HD clarity. Their words. But you wouldn't know it from the image quality while you're using it. The image that they use in their promotional material will make you think you're going to get this ultra clear, super bright, and highly detailed image. Not in my experience. In very well lit conditions, the image does look decent, but endoscopes are rarely used in ideal conditions. Now, how important that is to you and how necessary it is for bore scoping, I guess that could be up for debate, but I don't think anyone's going to complain of a higher quality picture while inspecting something that they can't get their eyes directly on. Tying into the screen is the camera itself. It suffers a number of issues, all of which you saw earlier. The camera's focal length doesn't really lend itself to bore inspections, particularly when you use the side view attachment. It was a blurry mess. That said, even the camera view forward was no great shakes. They can talk about their advanced CMOS chip and BlueArt 2.0 technology and recording frame rates, but the image and video it produces really isn't anything to write home about. And that was borne out by the video. It may be recorded and saved in 1920 by 1080p, but if the camera sensor itself is subpar, ultimately it doesn't even matter. Additionally, the LEDs that surround it really don't do it any favors either. Off, you can't see anything. On the first level of brightness, it's tolerable. Anything after that and the image gets blown out by the light. So again, for bore scoping, it's just not particularly useful. Now I'm going to go a little deep on the weeds on this one because not really many people care about this sort of thing, but it appears that the battery isn't user serviceable. I wasn't going to open the unit to find out for myself. It's going back to Amazon the minute this review is finished. But when you're warned in the manual not to fiddle with the battery, I take it that I can't replace it. So when that battery stops holding a charge, you got some e-waste. As for pros, well, about the best thing that I can say for this is it's not particularly hard to use. What the buttons do are obvious, the menu is simple and well laid out, so it's clear, and the unit is responsive in use. Yeah, that's about it. There's nothing else. This is probably going to be anticlimactic at this point, but it's recommendation time. Do I recommend the Depstech DS300 Endoscope for use in things like bore scoping and firearms cleaning and maintenance? No. No use case scenario where it could be useful to you for these activities. No, nothing. I do not recommend this unit. Do not buy it. Let's get down to brass tacks. Endoscopes are you get what you pay for proposition. Recently, I was at TACCOM, a gun show in Toronto, and a lovely booth lady was trying to sell me on a $1,000 endoscope. Looking at the unit and the images and videos it produced, I could see why it cost that much. But I don't think you need to spend that much to get a decent endoscope. That said, that's an indication though, if you want quality, you do need to spend some money. I'm not saying that cheap endoscopes can't be useful. I have one around here, I think I reviewed for this channel, that produces images and video far lower than 1080p, and it's actually been pretty useful in the past. Again though, you tend to get what you pay for. Whatever you do though, do not buy this one. Depstech DS300. Commit that to memory. Don't buy this. At any rate, I hope you found today's video to be at least vaguely entertaining and marginally informative. I hope all your videos at probing things go better than mine do. Take care, and bye-bye.